Hello, so this is a very basic training about Adobe Illustrator. First thing that I want to explain you using this platform which are the main differences between Illustrator and Photoshop. Basically, the main difference that Photoshop is made and taught for working on pictures, while Illustrator is made and taught for working on shapes. So working on direct traffic that you create, not on photos, picture, etc. Anyway, what we're going to teach you are both things that you can that you can do in both the programs. All I'm going to teach you is something that you can do also on Photoshop. Just the main difference is that here working on those stuff is much easier and much faster than in Photoshop. While if you want to work on pictures, it is much faster doing it in Photoshop. Anyway, if you learn to use very well one of the platform, it is very unlikely that you are not able to do certain things, or better, you have to be very advanced in the usage of Illustrator to find things that you cannot do also on Photoshop. So, the main three things that we are going to talk about are very simple: shapes, colors, and text, because those are the main things that will allow you to do anything you want. So, how to create a shape on Photoshop? First of all, you have to select shapes. You can choose any one you want. Just take this, you create it. If you if you click shift, it will create a perfect shape. If you don't click shift, it will create a shape however you want. Okay, then what to do right after? Of course, you can color shapes. If you click here and you change color, you change the color that is inside the shape. If you click here on the border, you change the color of the border, and you can put a blue border. Of course, if you select another shape, you can change the color and make it exactly same of the other shape, just clicking on this. Second thing you can do, modifying shapes in a more particular way. For example, you can click direct selection. Direct selection is useful because it helps you modify the shape not just of the overall but of a single part of the shape. So you can take this and you can, for example, modify it like this, and then taking this and modifying it like this. Or for example, you can create a circle with the ellipse instrument, and in a circle you can modify the angles. For example, if you take direct position, take this, it appears the maniglia, and you can modify the angle of your shape to make it a bit different from the one. Then you come back. Then what else can you do is taking the shape and mixing them. And for example, you can select those two, sorry, just those two, go here, and here there are all the ways in which you can put the two shapes together. So for example, you can do something like this to create a circle, or then you can take this other shape, put it here, and do something as simple as this, and with this you create the shape you prefer. As you can see, with all those instruments, Illustrator is very flexible to create any kind of shape you want, and with a bit of work you can really play however you want with shapes. Last thing that I will teach you that is very simple is how to put pictures into a shape. So you can create a simple mask, you create a circle. Also another useful function for creating circle, if you click Shift and Alt, you can create a circle from the central point. That can be very useful. You create it, you choose a picture from wherever you want. You can take Facebook and choose a random picture of someone. Let's just take mine, if it works. copy the image, you drag it here. You have to put the image on the second layer. You select everything and you say create maschera di ritaglio, and this is what happens. So you can put inside your shapes whatever you want to see there. Cool. Well, this is the first thing. It's about shapes, but then let's talk a bit about colors. How can you choose the right colors for for something you are working on? Let's take, for example, this image. Imagine that you want to add in this image something that has the same colors or colors that are suitable with the color that you are creating. So, for example, you want to create a shape on top. Not an ellipse, maybe. It would be very ugly. Something like this. And you want to choose the color. Of course, the first thing you can do is just drag in the color that you see here using this instrument, strumento contagocce. But also you can choose a color that is complementary to the color that you are seeing. And for doing this, you have first of all to understand which is the color you are using. Selecting this and finding the code. You find the code, you go on the internet on this site that is called Adobe Color CC, and you put your color here. What happens then is that you find not only your color but all the combination of colors that can be suitable for it. So you can put analog colors, but also you can find other kind of combination of colors that are cool. You can be monochromatic, find the different shadows of the same color. You can find a triad. This is actually the most used layers of colors that you can find. And you can choose the complementary ones or whatever. I will just choose this. You copy the code of this is DCF72A, and you can drag it here. And here you have a color that if you can see, it works very well with the color that were already existing. Then of course, in this case, if I had to choose, I would prefer to keep in the same color. But in lot of work you will be doing, this could be very useful for you, and don't forget it. And last thing that you can learn are texts. So for text, you just click here and you create a text. You can write simple apply to this amazing project in Brazil. Of course, never do a kind of post like the one I'm doing. It's very ugly. You can choose, of course, the font. Here you have all the prototypes of Lato that you can find. You can make it bigger. You can make it bigger changing the shape like this, or if you click Shift, of course, you can make it just bigger with its right proportions. You can center the text, change color, putting it white, for example, and then put it in the middle. Maybe in this case it's not very useful, but another thing that could be useful for you is changing the dimension of the text. And here you have all the possibilities you need to change the dimension. So here you can just make it bigger or smaller, but that's not relevant. But you can change, for example, the distance between the lines, or you can change the distance between letters. You can make it much bigger or much smaller. And here you have a lot of other things to work on the paragraph. If you have a longer paragraph, you will see all those features that will be very useful to change the distances between text. So, as you can see, the effect right now is not very cool because that was not the point. But using all the features that I was showing to you, you can create basically whatever you want. When you know how to work with colors, when you know how to work with shapes, and you know how to work with text, You can create on Illustrator any kind of post you want, and you can work however you prefer. Just if you have doubts, if you don't know how to do a certain thing, if you are still not very clear on the things you can do, just go on the internet, search for a video, search for some way to teach you, and then experiment. Because just going randomly, you will find tons of things, of cool things that you can do every day to improve. You can find effects like this, that you can find tons of things every day that will make your composition better. Just start to understand and to teach yourself something new in this program every day. Thank you for everything, and bye bye.